What is up, everybody? You know who it is. It's your allies behind enemy lines, Ryan and Joey, coming at you thoroughly behind enemy lines in Cowboys territory, holding it down for all our Washington football team fans. Check us out here on YouTube. Make sure you have that subscription button hit, ring that notification bell. So as soon as we go live, as soon as we drop the latest and greatest heat, you are notified and brings you right to your phone, your laptop, your desktop, whatever you got, and saying, hey, you got some fire waiting for you. If you don't want to check us out live or watch us, you can check us out anywhere you can find your podcast: Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on SoundCloud, all by searching Allies Behind Enemy Lines. And of course, on Twitter at AlliesBEL, and Facebook, where we are also live, again, by searching Allies Behind Enemy Lines podcast. We also got a link for this Absolute Fire t-shirt I happen to be wearing right here. We all need allies, and Allies Behind Enemy Lines podcast, Washington football team podcast. So check that out as well. Fits great, feels great, nice and soft, and just in time for the season to start. Let all your friends and family know your favorite Washington football team podcast based out of Texas. Joey, how are things going? It is here. It is here. We are finally here. It is training camp season, baby. Whoa.
Yeah, it's good, man. I'm sorry for that little delay. They're just trying to get everything up and running here. But yes, I'm doing well, man. It's good to hear. It's so much overflow right now of information as you said. Training camp has begun. It's gone from whispers and weird segments on the Good Morning Football show to everything full blown training camp previews and on the field reporting nonstop. So it's just an overflow of information right now. But it's getting us, we're getting a baptism by fire here, right back into this football season. So it's everyone's getting excited. I'm getting excited. We're right back in the season, man. I'm hyped.
I mean, we got a preseason game next week. The Hall of Fame game's next week. I mean, I think just the way the weird sports schedule's been, the Olympics, the late NBA finals, everything, it kind of snuck up on us, even though it felt like it kind of was one of those things that it snuck up on us, but also felt like it took forever to get here. It's like around the holidays, you're like, oh man, Christmas is 3 months away. And all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, Christmas is here. But speaking of Christmas, we got a couple Christmas gifts this week. The announcement of an extension for Jonathan Allen. He is now going to be in the burgundy and gold until at least 2025. Very team-friendly deal for at least down the road. I'm trying to find the exact numbers here. I had it pulled up just a second ago. But like I said, it is a 4-year extension through 2025. I want to say it was somewhere around 60 million. Does that sound right to you?
I think it was about 72.
72. Okay, yeah. So again, he's kind of one of the cornerstones of that defensive line, and we're keeping him around for for the foreseeable future. After you're right, 4 years, 72 million. After he signs the deal, he tweets out Washington for life. When's the last time you heard that? When's the last time somebody wanted to be around here for life? Especially a guy of that magnitude and that caliber talent. So, again, a guy that solidifies and is kind of a cornerstone of that defensive line. He's going to be around for a couple years now.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely going to be around for a while. He wants to be here. He was like that first foundational piece of that defense that we've been talking about, that defensive line, the first one to fall in place. And, some might say, the best one, the smartest one to fall into place, the leader of that group. But yes, it's great to see that Jonathan Allen. We know it's like you said, it's a team-friendly deal. He's not going to break in the bank, but he's someone that's going to be around for a while. And what does it say about the rest of this line, and what does it say for Deron Payne, Matt Ioannidis, and who else we're going to be able to pay there? The time will tell. But it's definitely great that we know we have him signed up and on the team. It's definitely a deal we know we wanted to get done. This off season, or during this season. So it's definitely something that was on the hit list.
Yeah, and then we avoid the the vicious cycle of franchise tag that we've seen with plenty other players that either end up walking away or whatever the case may be. Usually they end up walking away after we go through that cycle of franchise tags. So again, Jonathan Allen will be here till 2025, which is great. Love to see it, love to hear it, and having a guy sticking around like that. The other extension we announced was a 3-year extension for Logan Thomas, which again, a guy that had a breakout season with us last year. So again, kind of locks up that position for at least the foreseeable future. And this is great news, even for a guy that you might consider being a little bit older. What we're going to have is a little continuity. Again, a guy that's going to be around here for the next few years, at least 3 more years. And it's not just a turn cycle of different names and faces coming in and out of this locker room and in and out of this offense. So again, some continuity building. You see a guy have a breakout year, you hope that's just the beginning and not the peak. And I think that's what we're going to get here with Logan Thomas. He's a guy that works hard, a guy that likes to be challenged, a guy that rises to the occasion when he is challenged. And we've mentioned it on this show before, with all these new weapons around him, you got to assume that's going to be open for a few more looks his way, a few more catches, a few more big plays, as long as he stays healthy and stays on the field. So again, some continuity, a position that you lock up, whether he's going to be the starter for the next 3 years or just be, in that tight end room for the next 3 years. I don't think it really matters for me personally, but just some continuity and a guy that's going to be a familiar face and sticking around. And again, building towards that culture of not just turning over names, turning over faces over and over and over again. A guy that's going to be a key piece of what we're kind of trying to do here.
Definitely a key piece of what we're trying to do here. And someone, third leading tight end in receptions last year. He definitely had his numbers up. He definitely took advantage of those receptions. I remember that big catch in the Pittsburgh game, that brought us up to tie that game. That was, a huge play for him. And he continued to get better as the season went on. And I think that he's going to continue that growth. Definitely with the security, knowing he's got a team that believes in him. Once it's such a different thing, once you feel invested in by a team and knowing that, they believe that you're their guy. And you just sign somebody up and make him the highest paid 10. I think he's like the 7th highest paid 10. So again, another team-friendly deal to be part of something that he's going to continue to grow and flourish in. So I'm excited. We got, 2 good pieces locked down that were, essential pieces to our team making that run they did last year. So doing some good housekeeping here on signing these guys up, man. So let's hope that trend continues with signing all these people that we want to keep on our roster.
100%. Yeah. So the contract terms are 3 years, 24 million, 10.3 guaranteed, an AAV and average annual salary of obviously 8 million. So again, yeah, like you said, I say he's an older guy. Whenever you hit that 30-year-old thresh mark in football, I think you're considered old, which is, kind of hits home for me because I'm staring right down the barrel of 30 years old. But
I don't know if you retired. I don't know if you retired unless that's Tom Brady or Adam Vinatieri.
Yeah. So I think I might have to give up my dreams of becoming an NFL player pretty soon here, since I'm looking down the barrel of that. But no, yeah, like you said, definitely some good housekeeping, taking care of those that are important to you. And, like I said, I'll repeat myself one more time, just trying to keep some continuity, some guys that are obviously bought in. They're guys that we consider important, that we want to stick around. And, we do it for the right price. It's not just overpaying guys just to try to keep them. Finally, guys want to be here, so they'll take deals that, it's not like, well, you got to pay me an extra 5-10 million just to keep me here. It's like, no, I'll take, market price to stick around because I trust what we're building and I trust what's going on here. So again, a nice new refreshing feeling of what's going on around the Washington football team. But now jumping into training camp, I don't know exactly where you want to go with this. We can kind of jump around as we do from time to time on this show, or maybe exclusively do on this show. But we'll start with the quarterback position. Fitzpatrick and Terry McLaurin look like they're building something pretty nice to begin with. We've seen quite a few big plays, big passes, big catches from the two, which is something you absolutely want to see, especially week 1 of training camp. You see the number 1 wide receiver and the presumptuous or presumed number 1 starting quarterback coming out of training camp, building that rapport, building some chemistry early on. And all it's going to do is get fans like you and I and everybody else hyped of like, oh man, look out. These guys might be building something.
Yeah. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I mean, you hear him talk, he sounds like a guy that's in a comfortable spot. You see his interviews. He found like he's in it's been quoted saying it's the best position he thinks he's ever been placed in. And for him to say that, and for the positions he's been placed in before, not to say he's been placed in ideal positions, but he's had some success and some good runs with some teams and been around a lot of great players. So for him to buy in at this stage of his career, and as you said, you're getting older, I'm getting older. He's definitely older. He knows his clock is ticking as far as his NFL career and his ability to go, do something memorable, go to a Super Bowl, go to win a playoff, go win a division. So he's all in. He's not there to collect a check. He wants to go out there and compete. He's a competitor, and he's proven that just how he plays and how he's carried himself throughout his career. So for him to be clicking already with Fitzpatrick, with McLaurin, and getting acquainted with that offense and with that receiving crew. And not to mention that he's going to have support. It's not going to be all on his shoulders. He's going to have Antonio Gibson. He's going to have J.D. McKissick in the background. He's going to have so many weapons around him and a defense that is going to usually probably shrink the field down for him and keep him in pretty close games and give him the opportunity to be in every game. I think that Fitzpatrick has got to be feeling pretty good right now. So as he feels good, he's going to play good, and we're going to feel good. So I'm all for it.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, I agree. Like you said, his interview just the other day, he was saying how well everything's going, how he's enjoying himself, and how he's, how the players kind of push each other, and it's a healthy atmosphere. It's not guys that are trying to, cut each other down to get that spot. It's like, no, I'm trying to build you up, or you're trying to build me up to be in the best position possible to win, which again is great. And that's what we were hoping for. That's what we had said. You can only speculate so much of how the culture and what the locker room environment is going to be like. And he said it's guys are trying to push each other, and the stereotypical cliche of iron sharpening iron, and that's what it is. Guys trying to push each other to be their best, and not push each other, not trying to overtake them because it's like, hey, this is my starting spot, whatever. It's like, no, this is my starting spot. Well, no, it's not my starting spot. Whoever the best guy is, let's put that guy up. Let's build that guy up. Let's build each other up. All hands on deck type of deal. And so that's great to hear that. As a fan's point of view, again, that's what you want. That's what you're hoping is the case, and that's what it seems like to be thus far. But on the other hand, sticking at that quarterback position, Taylor Heinicke hasn't looked too bad. He's made some plays. He's made some throws that I think Fitzpatrick and other people around the team are going to realize, hey, this guy's somebody that can, somebody to be reckoned with. If Fitzpatrick for whatever slips up, there's not going to be a huge fall off of a guy that we're replacing him with, or that could fill in that backup role. Heinicke's looked really good. He's taken some big shots. One of the first few days, he took a big shot to Sammis Reyes, who hauled in a pass, which that's another good thing to hear too, is that guy can make some plays, or at least had made some plays so far. But, like I said earlier, the presumed or assumed number one quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I don't think Taylor Heinicke is too far behind him, which you've agreed with, or you've kind of stated yourself, and which you have really, you've really pushed for, that you think that it's going to be his job when it's all said and done.
Yeah, like as I said, when I threw this jersey up in this frame behind me, this guy's a made man in Washington. What he did last year, he's already a made man with those guys that he played with last year. They know what he can do. They know what type of, when you've been with somebody like that, as someone that's played in sports, and you've been around someone like that, you automatically are bought in once you see what they're, they go out there and they're about their business. And I think that team, that played with them last year in that playoff run, the playoff game, I should say, really believe in him. And so I think that, a lot of those people that, I'm sure there's a lot of people that thinking, hey, Taylor Heinicke should probably be our guy, and looking forward to seeing how they actually perform in game situations. So I still am one to think that, these preseason games are going to be telling. It's going to be very telling about how, Ryan Fitzpatrick, how he reacts in real time against some of these teams and some of these defenses. And we already know what Taylor Heinicke's going to do. He's going to lay it all out there in every game like he's playing in the Super Bowl. He's going to take those preseason games like it's, his last game he's ever going to play. And I think that type of is eventually going to overtake, because no matter how you try to be or try to change or push, you are who you are in a sense. And I think that, Ryan Fitzpatrick, like we've said before many times, we believe in him. We hope he does well here, but we know what's going to happen with him. It's happened with him over and over again. He gets a little happy, gets behind, gets, whatever, and he's going to become Fitzpatrick to Fitzpat-pick and give that ball away. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. I'm hoping for success. Not saying I hope that Heinicke gets it because Fitzpatrick fails or whatnot, but I just think that Heinicke's just going to out-hustle him and outplay him and have players around him that play harder for him than I think that Fitzpatrick does. And it remains to see. I'm glad we have this battle going on. We did not have this last year. We're just going to have to wait and see what Haskins did. So I'm glad we have in there going. I know a lot of people say, you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. But hey, we may have three.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I don't think it's the case of having two quarterbacks. I think it's having a good option, in place, a good second option in place. It's like, Fitzpatrick.
17 games. 17 games.
Yeah, you'll be hard pressed to see a lot of quarterbacks play every snap of all 17 games across the NFL. So, if you have a good option B, I think you're in a good spot. One thing I meant to mention earlier when we were talking about Fitzpatrick specifically, Terry McLaurin had some really good comments about him. He said, Fitzpatrick empowers receivers. He puts them in the right spots to make plays as is comfortable with working with the pieces around him, probably because he's always had so many different pieces around him throughout his career. He's grown comfortable, which again is a good problem to have. And what he went on to say, one thing about Fitzpatrick that is already apparent, if he tells you, it's for a good reason. He's not just telling you just to, blow air or just to hear himself talk. Like, he's telling you because, like, hey, this is what I see. This is an adjustment we can make. So the fact that not only are they building chemistry on the field and building a little camaraderie there, but it seems like they're building a little trust with each other too, where they're going to be on the same page. They're going to be able to talk and analyze stuff and come up with solutions if something isn't working, and do it in a way that it's not going to be Donovan McNabb and T.O.-esque. It's going to be, I don't know, Tom Brady and Randy Moss-esque, maybe. I don't know. That's probably a bit of a stretch, but you know what I'm going for, where it's going to be a cohesive thing and not two guys yelling at each other, fighting or whatever, which that may happen too, because guys get caught up in the heat of the moment, the heat of battle, which is I'm cool with. So that's another great thing to hear coming out of training camp in the first week. It's all positive vibes right now, and you love to see it.
All positive vibes, other than the COVID, things going on there. I'm sure we'll get to those in here in a second. But, every you don't hear a guy, when you hear these guys talk in these interviews, you hear them, very, I don't even say optimistic, but they're focused. They're in there. They know that this is for real, and they are contenders now, and they're playing for real, and and the sky's the limit on what they can do as long as they focus and do what they're supposed to do. And I think they're buying into that. And, if you have the underlying agreement or just know or trust, you want to say, within your team, that you're all focused on the same thing, then when people are getting in each other's faces, pointing things out, it does not matter, because you know that we're all doing it for the same reason. And I think I heard Chase Young talk about, rookie tackle Samuel Cosme is basically pushing him. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to tell him what I see, and I'm going to go. He's all, because when I worked against Morgan Moses, I would, he'd give me, I forgot how he put what word he used, but he'd give me some licks. He'd definitely lay into me and prepare me. And so he's going to be doing the same thing. And that way, again, so Cosby can turn around and do the same thing to him. So like we've said before, the theme is of sharpening iron, iron sharpening iron, whatever you want to call it. They're pushing each other. And, another comment he made about Montez Sweat, same thing. We both know we're going, I'm going to carry him. If I'm going to push him, if I'm lagging, he's going to push me if I'm lagging. So when you have that, I always talk about that. It's all right when you lean on people, it forms like a teepee, where you guys can, a nice have a little foundation there where you can lean on each other. When you have a bunch of people like that leaning on each other, that's a team that can move mountains, and definitely move Cowboys and Giants out of the way, and definitely swat Eagles away like little flies. But so we're excited to see what this team can do, and like you said, it's a great start, and it's just a continuation of the growth of this culture.
Yeah, I think Chase Young's comments or statement was kind of like, they said, how are you going to help Chase Young? He's like, I'm just going to tear him up. I'm just going to go at him as hard as I can every single time. And, like when you hear that, it's like, hell yeah, that's exactly what you need to do. I mean, why would you take it easy on a guy? That's not how he's going to learn. I mean, if he's going to be going up against some of the best edge rushers in the league over and over and over again, he's going to need to face the best edge rusher in the league in practice and go and get his best shot every single time. And, taking it easy on him or going soft on him, that ain't going to help him. That ain't going to help the team. That ain't going to help the quarterback. And so it's, like you said, when you're leaning on each other, it's going to build a firm foundation. When you're just kind of guiding somebody along or push them along by babying them, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna help anybody.
You're not helping
anybody's
them. It's one of those enabling things, and you're filling in for their. It's like, I know he's not gonna go well to the left, so I'm gonna let this play go out. And I remember that. I'm gonna say I never played at the NFL level, even the college level, but in the high school, it's like doing walkthroughs and whatnot. And you know how the play's supposed to go, and so in a sense, you're just gonna try to let the play run out. And I remember a spot where I'm just kind of going through the motions. I can remember exactly when my freshman year, and my coach grabbing me and saying, "What are you doing?" And I'm saying, just going this way, like he's trying to block me that way. He's like, no, I want you to go and get that quarterback. I don't want you to hit him, but I want you to act like this is real. And it was just a switch to me when it became on the field that, what, we're competitive right now, and I'm not doing anybody any favors by, being a yes man in a sense to what they're trying to do to me, or just kind of just being a rag doll there. So yeah, them pushing each other in that competition, that's only going to make them better, and rev them up. So when it comes Sunday, come game time, they're going to be prepared and ready to knock somebody's, block off.
Knock somebody's block off. Yeah, no, absolutely. 100%. 100% agree. You mentioned, a couple of the COVID cases earlier. We'll just go ahead and get to that right now. Matt Ioannidis, Curtis Samuel, they're placed on the reserve COVID-19 list, along with backup corner Chris Miller. So they will be out for at least a week, maybe 10 days. So that sucks, especially for a guy like Ioannidis who was trying to get back and be healthy. Which he said he's 100% back, he's 100% healthy, but you want to start getting those reps in as many as you can, as early as you can. So that kind of stinks. But it is what it is. It's one of those things that we're gonna have to deal with going on the whole season. Curtis Samuel, obviously, again, another guy new coming in. You want to see him building that rapport, building that trust with Fitzpatrick that we just spoke about with McLaurin, and it's just the fact that he's not going to be out there. It's going to be a hindrance. Chris Miller, got to be honest with you, don't know who you are, bro. You should probably be keeping it clean, cleaning it up if you're trying to make this team.
I think it was a quarterback for the Falcons back in the day. Chris Miller.
Okay.
He was. Do you remember Chris Miller? Was I just making that name up? No, it's not the same guy, obviously, but.
And then to Tim Settle, he passed his physical, so he is now on the active roster. So that's good. Get Tim Settle in there, my boy, my dog, one of the guys that I fought for last year, and he proved me right. So obviously, I love to hear that. Love to see that. We'll jump over to the other side of the ball, unless you had anything left on the offensive side of the ball while we're still here.
No, I mean, just, other than, like you said, that Terry McLaurin interview, he sounds very, optimistic and just to touch on some things, as we know, Madden 22 is coming out, something I follow, and a lot of those ratings came out for for the players that are coming out, and the Washington offense was, other than the catching running backs, we had 2 catching running backs, not even in any top 10 list, which is hard to believe because some people they put above Logan Thomas. I'm like, really, Dallas Goedert, the head of Logan Thomas, he's definitely a top 10 tight end, I believe, right now, and so. In a lot of ways, some people are taking notice, but a lot of people aren't taking notice that we have anything on offense. And I've had some discussions with other people, mostly of the Giants, Cowboys, Eagle fans who want to come to talk smack. But who do you have on offense? That's been the key there. And I think that this offense, as it searches for an identity, it's going to be one of those things where it's like you think about the Patriots, like great teams, like who do they have on offense?
Right.
You can name off a few names probably if you really followed it, but not. It's just a lot of great players making plays in key situations, and I think this offense is going to kind of reflect that type of gameplay.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to mention towards the end of the show was all these Madden ratings coming out, mm-hmm. and how even defensively we didn't have any top 10 pass rushers, we didn't have any top 10 interior linemen. Finally got somebody with Kendall Fuller being there as I think the 7th or 8th best corner at an 89 overall. But I think once the season ends, we'll see plenty of guys, Montez.
We had strength. We had the power move. We had 2 guys on the defensive line, just strictly power move, and that's Matt Ioannidis and Deron Payne. We had Matt Ioannidis is ranked only behind Aaron Donald in strength. And on the finesse move, we also had Matt Ioannidis along with Jonathan Allen in the top 10. So those D-line guys are getting some love, but as run stoppers, not pass rushers.
Yeah. So we'll see how that all shapes up there at the end of the season, because I'm sure those guys are going to progress, and those Madden ratings adjusters or whatever are going to have no choice but to take notice, and everybody else will take notice as well.
Well, all I gotta say is they ranked Christian McCaffrey above Derrick Henry. I mean, so that should tell you how much weight we should lend to that.
They also I saw they had Derrick Henry at like a 92 speed. That seems a little quick. I feel like he's, maybe this is a little like splitting hair.
He's deceptively
but like
fast.
In the open field, like once he gets downhill in the open field. But like as far like, because I've played with Christian McCaffrey on this past year's Madden, and like as soon as he got the ball, like boom, he was gone. You know what I mean? Where I feel like. And I feel like that's the case in real life, where I feel like Derrick Henry, he kind of chops the feet, runs over you, and then breaks away from you. So maybe the acceleration isn't quite there. I haven't seen any acceleration ratings, but as far as speed, I feel like that might have been a little high. But
don't tell those Titans fans that they always get mad at his speed rating. Look, he's fast, but yeah, I'd kind of agree. His accel's not really there, but when he gets out in those long strides in that open field, it's like it's almost like that DK Metcalf chasing down Buda Baker. Was it Buda Baker last year? Just like those long like predator strides or some stride. So he gets out there, and it's pretty cool too with the next gen stats now they use in Madden. where they actually when you run with Derrick Henry now on the next gen consoles, it literally feels like it's the same thing. Once he gets going, it's like it's like no one's gonna catch this boy.
Like a thoroughbred just running down the finish line. That's cool.
Exactly.
So the next thing I want to talk about was we kind of mentioned this last week. Was where Jamin Davis was going to be lining up. Is he going to be strong side, weak side? Is he going to be the Mike linebacker? We've seen in OTAs him line up quite a bit at the Mike position, and that's been what we've seen so far at training camp. Is he's lining up that middle linebacker position. We don't know if it was going to be him or Cole Holcomb, and it looks like their plan is to play him at that Mike position because that's where he's been getting a good amount of his reps, which. Mm-hmm. When we were back in drafts, leading up to the draft and who we might want to take, this and that, we really talked about that middle linebacker position quite a bit. And when we drafted Jamin, it was like, well, is he going to be that weak side linebacker that maybe drops into coverage a little bit more? Is he going to be coming after the quarterback or pressuring in the run game? And it looks like the real answer is all of the above because he's going to be doing that from that Mike linebacker position. We mentioned last week, I believe, you said, is he going to be the signal caller? Is he going to be the guy that's, kind of pretty much that, giving out the signals, calling plays, any audibles or things like that, any shifts? That obviously is yet to be seen, but we do know that he's going to be lining up at that Mike position. And I think that's great for him for his size, his speed, his strength, all the above. He checks all the boxes for what could be a very, very good. I mean, I think he might even be a little bit taller than your traditional Mike linebacker, which is fine because he has the athleticism to make up for it. So I'm really excited to see this guy on the field and see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's been something that we wanted, even with the beginning of when we were drafting Chase Young. At that point, I was like, if there was a higher rated middle linebacker last year, I might have been even, rallying to get him because, just knowing what we already had in Deron Payne, Montez Sweat, Matt Ioannidis, and Jonathan Allen. But I mean, not looking forward, of course, we could not have done better with Chase.
You would have looked really dumb.
Well, depending on who it was, depending on who it was and how they did. Who knows if they would have came in here and we won the Super Bowl. But all fantasies aside, you're right. We needed this Mike linebacker. We need someone big in the middle. Some of these guys, these Devin White, Jalen Smith, taller linebacker. Tremaine Edmonds types, or Terrell Evans, I should say. Was it Tremaine or Terrell from the Bills? Those bigger inside
Tremaine
linebackers.
Edmonds.
Tremaine Edmonds. My bad. Yes, I think that's the new prototype for these middle linebackers. You got to have these too many balls going over our heads. We've seen it for years, starting with even in London Fletcher's later times there. It's just that we need these taller linebackers now, and and athletic ones that can cover as well. So to see that they already have the confidence in him, and he's not really been moved around a lot right now, it's a good sign to see that. I'm sure he's going to get some looks like that in preseason and kind of go from there. So maybe we got that final hole plugged on that defense, and look out.
That's the biggest thing is like I want to see. And the thing too is, we've talked about this extensively as well, is if maybe we see that it's not working out, the Mike position, like it's not like, oh, well, this guy's a bust. Like, no, he has the versatility to play a lot of other spots, and he can play, switch to that strong side, that will linebacker, whatever it may be. So if we've said this plenty of times as well. Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio, if there's one position they know really well, it's going to be that linebacker position. And so, if they're starting off by putting him there at the Mike, they probably have a pretty good feeling he's going to be able to produce there. You know what I mean? And so I, again, have got to go with the trust of them of like, hey, this is what the plan was the whole time. Because we kind of heard both of like, he might play middle linebacker. He might be playing, so not only were we speculating on our own, but we kind of heard both things. And now to see that they're really focusing on putting him there, and that's where they want him to play and want him to start. That's great news because now you kind of really solidify taking this guy at the spot you did when not only fans but other talking heads on TV felt like maybe you could have got somebody quote unquote better at that position. But now if this is a guy that literally plugs the last hole we needed and does it well, then it's like a big family show giving the double guns to everybody and saying suck it. We picked exactly the guy we needed, exactly the guy we wanted, and anything else is just wrong at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about your first round pick, usually you just have one, unless you obviously made deals in the past. You're getting one shot at a starter. That's all how you got to look at it. I need to get one starter on my team that's going to make an impact. And that's all you can really ask for in your first round, no matter where you're picking. Even if the number one overall pick obviously usually goes to a quarterback or some strong, making an immediate impact. So it already sounds like that's what we got. So I don't care where he was projected. We know what he's done before. As long as that first round pick results into a productive starter on our team and feels like a need, hooray for us.
Yeah, no, agreed. Did you have any thoughts or feelings on any of the stuff that we saw from training camp thus far?
Um, Not a lot, other than obviously the whole COVID thing and all those restrictions coming in and what it can mean for a vaccinated player versus a non-vaccinated player. We saw the comments come out about Ron Rivera talking about his frustrations with the non-vaccinated, and we saw Chase Young come out and talk about he's going to support his players who wish to do whatever they want and not disclose who's doing what and whatnot. So again, it's still going to be a thing. It's still a thing in our society that's going to impact things. As we see, we already talked about some guys on the list there. So it's good to see, no matter what, that it's not dividing up our team, and it's not getting, the media's not catching us in some, it's not like they started to stir stuff up with the Ron Rivera stuff, but it's everybody's got to be frustrated. Frustration can be, just frustrated being asked this, can be frustrated with, it being a whole thing. We're just frustrated with having to deal with this. As myself, as I get ready for work, going back to work, it's going to be, it's all the same stuff again that we just left that we thought we were getting better from, and I think a lot of people from the season thought the same thing. So there's going to be frustration in everybody, and when it comes to this COVID stuff. So I'm glad that we're able to focus on the things on the field, and the guys are, like I said, good stuff coming out as far as production, as far as attitude, as far as everything we're seeing on the field. That we're trending in the right direction. I don't think we've taken any steps back from what we had in minicamp and the great off season we had, and this culture change. And I think that every fan, every person you've seen out there at the training camp that's tweeting or whatnot is impressed with what they see. And I think that we can only take their word for it and kind of start to buy in even more.
Yeah, one of the biggest things to take away from that is, look, you absolutely understand Ron Rivera's frustrations. We talked about it again on this show about if you're really trying to put this team in the best position to win, whether it is your choice or not, like it's almost that's the kind of thing that sucks, is like with all the mandates and with all the rules and restrictions that the NFL's putting in, it's almost like you have no decision, whether you want to or not. But again, with a guy that battled cancer, a guy that's in remission for cancer, he's immune deficient. So if he does contract it, it could be a really bad time for him. So that's the part that sucks, is because that's what they're dealing with is if you want to win, if you want to put your team in the best position, especially with all the hype we're getting, it's an unfortunate situation for somebody that maybe doesn't want to do it, but you're forced to. But again, it's one of those things. And unfortunately, it's not one of those football things. It's just like it's one of those life things, I guess, right? That you just kind of have to bite the bullet and deal with one way or the other. I respect Chase Young and saying like, look, hey, this is my business. I'm not going to, let you know whether I'm vaccinated or not. It really doesn't matter one way or the other if I am or not. I'm here to play football. So that I can respect, and that I can definitely get behind for sure.
Yeah. And, it's been much focus. I don't want to take away from it. It's just one of those things that you just keeps popping up, especially when we get these COVID IRs, Curtis Samuel. You know what I mean? He's right on there. We haven't heard a lot about him in training camp. I don't know if you have. Because Renee's hasn't been on the field. I think he was. I don't know if he was placed on that, because that list came out yesterday. Am I correct? As far as that, but before that, he was already on a list. He was already on the physically unable to perform. I don't know. Was that for a different reason?
Maybe a close contact.
I know, but it was before that. Who knows what it was before that? But I'm hoping that he doesn't have any other nagging injuries as well that he's not able to perform. So again, this stuff is real, and we got to make sure that everyone's doing their best they can to do what's right. So let's keep this going, guys.
One quick thing I wanted to mention, Emmanuel Acho. There's been quite a few people we've talked about, but I saw Emmanuel Acho specifically. Sam Acho. Sam Acho is the one that is actually kind of. Emmanuel Acho has been around for a while. Now he's getting a little bit over his skis. He's doing his best Skip Bayless, Marcellus Wiley, Shannon Sharp impressions now. Sam Acho, both former Texas players, hook 'em. Shout out to the SEC. said they were going down the line of saying which teams do you think are going to challenge Tampa Bay for the NFC title. He named none other than the Washington football team. And you said you've seen quite a few people mentioning us the same. Now, we talked about how much love we're finally getting from the media. We're talking about how people are finally taking a notice and recognizing, hey, Washington might be doing something out there. But my question to you is it maybe getting a little too far, a little too much, setting expectations a little too high for us in these first couple of years?
Well, you don't hear a lot of that talk. Most of the talk is interdivisional, like who's coming out of the East, not who's challenging for any type of Super Bowl or who's going to make all the most noise. So most of the chatter I hear is, basically that, when I hear that is that it's a two-dog race or a three-dog race for the NFC East between the Giants, Cowboys, and mostly two-dog Giants, Washington, and so I think that anyone that watches football can buy into that. Now, what they do after that, if we're assuming that they're in that race, and then you got to start thinking about which teams can actually match up against and possibly beat the Tampa Bay. So you're already talking about almost two different things there. And so when you get out of that race, then we've talked about this before. The teams that they've played, you're going to have a good defense. So again, which teams have good defenses out there? You're going to have to go. To me, it's like you go to the Rams. You go to the Rams or you go to us, or maybe depending on the 49ers how their offense does this year. You got three teams that match up well against that Tampa Bay team. So it's not like it's a lot can be poured into it, but it's when you really break it down and get granular with it, it's basically that's what you're looking at. Is they somehow make it out of that two-dog race, which they probably will either as a wild card or as a division winner, and eventually going to have to play Tampa Bay, and which teams, when they get down to those teams, is going to have the best chance with them. And I think that, when you do it, it's hard to argue because we almost beat them last year with not as much talent as we're going to have this year, and they're the same exact team.
Yeah, no, agreed. So that's I'm glad you said that because I think we need to kind of take this step by step, right? We already won the division last year, albeit with a sub 500 record. Whatever, we won the division. We obviously expect to improve that this season, and so we plan on making the playoffs. Win the division, make the playoffs. We did that last year. So now the next step is win a playoff game, and then maybe we get to that divisional round and we lose. Okay, so next year, let's win the divisional round. We make it to the conference championship game. Maybe we lose that. So, we don't have to do everything all at once. Like if we can kind of take this step by step, I'm fine with that. If we make a little improvement of not only winning our division, getting a home playoff game, but then winning and getting that divisional round, fine by me. Maybe we're the 3 seed and we have to go to Tampa Bay, or we got to go to LA, or we got to go, so like you said, one of these teams. I don't think anybody in the NFC South is going to be, well, other than the Bucks. Who's in the NFC North? The Packers. Maybe we got to go play Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in Green Bay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if that's the case and that's who we're facing, if we're facing Tampa Bay or Green Bay in the divisional round and we slip up to two of the all-time greatest to ever play, again, that's fine because we gained another step. And then guess what? Next year, we are those guys that you have to come to. We're the 1 or 2 seed that you got to come to. And so a little step-by-step situation. I don't feel like we have to. Everyone always gets so obsessed, and this is just kind of the climate for the whole sports world right now. Whereas you have to do everything at once, right? You have to do it's all or nothing. Either you're the greatest of all time or you're a bum. Whether you might be the greatest team of all time or you're stink and you're not very good. You got kind of lucky. So, that's that. If we can take it step by step, I'm all for. As long as we can kind of see those steps going forward, and not what we're used to seeing, where it's 1 step forward and 3 or 4 steps back, and then we take another 2 steps forward, and then it's another 5 steps back, which we've seen for the last 20 years. So if we can get past that and just keep seeing, 1 step forward, half a step forward, we're not taking any steps back. Sign me up for that. I'm all in.
Yeah, definitely. And progression. Like we talked about at the beginning of last year. The first goal was to beat the Cowboys. That was pretty much the goal we had last year, was to beat the Cowboys. We had aspirations of a wild card, which we ended up winning the division. And it was kind of just getting into playoffs. Possibly was the next step. So we knocked out 3 of those goals in 1 year, which is get the playoffs, win the division, and beat the Cowboys. So now a playoff win. Something like that is what should be the next step. And it's so funny. I listen to. I'm a huge fan and always have been. One of my heroes, I can even say, is Kurt Angle. An Olympic. Someone who was a wrestler, who was an Olympic wrestler, who won the gold medal in '96 with a broken freaking neck. That's his cliche. Not only did he win the Olympics gold medal with a broken neck, he won the trials with a broken neck. So I mean, you're talking about a guy who could not take painkillers because you fail. You know, in the Olympics you can't take anything with the pain. So he was taking nicotine injections, and then I wasn't nicotine, Novocaine injections, and into his neck. 8 shots of
Nicotine
Novocaine.
would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, 8 shots of Novocaine in his neck before every time he trained or anytime he touched a mat, which is nuts. For 2 months he did that. And so when you talk about people, and someone was interviewing him and talking about, so when did you got dreams when you first started wrestling to win the gold Olympics? He's like, no. I was like, what was your thoughts? He's like, my goal was to have a winning record. I cried every time I lost a wrestling match when I was a kid. There's many thousands of mini goals between me, wrestling and becoming an Olympic gold medalist. And he's all, and that if you start looking at things too far away, you start skipping steps, and you're not able to build the foundation you need to be those great champions. And so as long as, like we said, we're setting these small goals and achieving them, and I think that the offside, last year we had a lot of on-field goals achieved as far as getting chemistry and team, belief and good players on the field and good chemistry. Now the off-the-field stuff, that's another goal we've had of rebranding and reculturizing this team. So these small goals are getting achieved, and we're doing them well. Yeah. So as long as we keep that focus and don't get too far ahead of ourselves, like we said, we only limit ourselves.
No, you're right. Yeah. I mean, like you said, even the minor stuff, we're checking those boxes left and right. That's a great point that you make there, because again, you got to, any progress is progress. So that's a great point that you made there. That's all I got for the first week of training camp. You have anything before we wrap up here?
No, I don't. Other than I'm excited. It's can't wait to actually start seeing it more and be able to dig in and start doing some predictions on this schedule and who's making this roster. And so I know we got some good content coming up. Even though this probably will be our last live show for a while, maybe.
Yeah.
So. But
This will be our you're getting back to school, so we won't be able to do these live shows. They were fun while they lasted. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Some breaking news here that while we're sitting here, Carson Wentz, former Eagle, obviously no longer, he is out indefinitely and is undergoing further testing on a foot injury that happened at the end of practice yesterday. So a little breaking news there. Also here in Dallas, I forgot to mention Dak Prescott. He's got a mild shoulder strain, so he's going to be out for, he said that he's day-to-day, out indefinitely. Day-to-day sounds a little less severe. They're just, covering all bases, making sure a guy that's coming back.
I didn't even realize either, not to cut you off before I forget, that I saw that, I saw the story with him. I didn't know that your boy Nick Mullins is out there.
My boy?
That's your boy. That's your little Brett Favre boy. That's your boy. Don't get me wrong. You talked a lot about that boy. I did talk about a lot. When I think Nick Mullins, you come to my mind first as because there's players out there like you throw like Jonathan Stewart out there, you're like, oh, that's your boy, or Andrew Luck back in the day, oh, that's your boy. No, that's your boy, man. That's your boy out there.
That's fine. But he's in Philly. That's what you mean, right? He's in Philly.
Oh, Philly. That's right. That's where I saw him was in Philly. It wasn't in Dallas. That's right, Philly.
Yeah.
So who does Dallas have? Oh, it's They have Flacco and
no, Flacco's in Philly too.
Flacco and Mullins. So Dallas has who's there? Is it just DiNucci and what's his name?
Garrett Gilbert might still be out there.
What I mean, Gilbert and DiNucci still.
Might be. I can double check. Yeah, Gucci DiNucci.
DiNucci's up in the casa.
Let me see. I got it here. Pulling it up. That's not what I wanted. But yeah, so Dak, like I said, he's out for the foreseeable future. They're just taking it easy since he has come back from the leg injury. You don't want to put on a lot of injury. So yeah, they got Garrett Gilbert, Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush, and Gucci DiNucci. I didn't realize I brought back Cooper Rush. That's interesting. So that's who they're.
The Cowboys are all in then on freaking Dak Prescott being able to do it, man. Because tell you what, they ain't got no backup plan. They ain't got no Andy Dalton there this year. They ain't got no.
Might be thankful they don't have an Andy Dalton, but they don't have a Taylor Heineke, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, like I said, we're gonna have 3 good quarterbacks on our team, and one might be a potential trade, option to be able to grab some player or something.
Kyle Allen's not a good quarterback. We're not gonna have 3 good quarterbacks on our team.
But I don't remember Kyle Allen doing anything bad for us.
Do you remember him doing anything good?
Yes. He
No.
played great against. I mean, that stupid interception against the Giants that we lost the game because that wasn't his fault though. It was just one of those
A bad call. Bad call.
yeah, a bad call, and and Antonio Gibson had that weird fumble in that game where he kicked it. Remember they kept kicking the ball like 5 yards. They kicked it like 30 yards. I mean, so it was a weird game. But I mean, he was the one that beat the Cowboys the first time. I mean, that's a good thing right there. He's the first one to beat the Cowboys under the new regime. What else do you want the guy to do? He did our first goal for us.
I don't know. I'm out on I'm out on Kyle.
I'm not saying I want him to be our starter. I'm just saying he's somebody like. I'm just in my mind is like where we're talking on the subject of teams not having any depth. Yeah, a team like the Cowboys could use Kyle Allen's better than all the rest of those Jimmies they got over there. Those Danucci's and Rushes and Garrett Gilberts. So I mean, you throw those guys over there, maybe we get a 3rd or 4th round pick for them. I ain't mad at it. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not trying to put him on the field. So
Good.
don't even get
that's the last thing.
on our field.
Yeah, go put him on somebody. Yeah, go put him on somebody else's field. That's for sure. No doubt. But that'll do it for us here on this beautiful Friday, last Friday of July. We're just rolling right into it. Like I said, first the Hall of Fame games next week, Steelers and Cowboys, and the preseason's rolling right after that. So we'll be right in the thick of it. But as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you're checking us here on YouTube. Hit subscribe, ring that notification bell. Again, check us out anywhere you find your podcast, Spotify, Google, Apple. Also on SoundCloud at Allies Behind Enemy Lines. We're on Facebook, as well as Twitter at AlliesBEL. Buy a little t-shirt. Hey, going back to school, going back to high school, going back to college, going back to work maybe where you're having like a, casual Friday. What better shirt? First day of school shirt, casual Friday shirt than this right here. Go ahead, buy one, send one to your friend, send one to your girlfriend, send one to your brother, your sister, your mom.
Buy some for your whole
whoever.
school. Make it your school shirt. Because we all need allies. Your whole school does too.
Your whole school needs allies. In these trying times, we all need allies. Whether it's sports related, world related, whatever it is. In these trying times, we all need allies. Buy your whole school one.
There you go.
We'll make sure to
make your motto. Give us the money. Give us the trademark on it.
But until next week, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next time.